What role does lifestyle really play when it comes to cognitive decline?
Massive.
I'm seeing a lot now. I'm big behavioral genetics stan as well. I think that heritability has got a fettered past, but it's real important. And I think that more people should learn about behavioral genetics than do. I think there's a lot being laid at the feet of lifestyle because it's something that we do have control over in a meritocracy where people feel like they want to be able to author their own life. This idea that you are being puppeted by some stuff that happened literally before you were born, like as you were conceived, is very disempowering as an idea to a lot of people, but I also think it's super informative. And if you can kind of get past the initial discomfort of, there's some stuff that I didn't choose that I'm at the mercy of. But on the flip side of that, lifestyle as well. So talk to me about cognitive decline and its contributing elements, lifestyle, genetics. How do you come to think about it?
DNA is not destiny, especially when it comes to the brain and mind. Like, I mean, DNA might be destiny for like heart attacks and stuff like that, or there are certain medical conditions that are very linked to genetics, epigenetics. But whether you have a proclivity or a tendency to have Alzheimer's or dementia or not, whether you want to stave that off because you don't want to know based on a new Alzheimer's test, or whether you've been given a diagnosis and you're trying to work through it, the treatment is all lifestyle and behavioral. The medicines are limited. They exist for early diagnosis and Alzheimer's, but the treatment is all lifestyle. The way I think about it is five key things to do, or a handful of key things to do. Is one, you got to keep the arteries open. We've been talking about the beautiful brain. You have 4 arteries coming up. They get into this beautiful branching pattern. It's exquisite. Parts of them loop over each other. It looks like a chandelier. We call it the candelabra. And they get narrower and narrower. So you got to irrigate the flesh. So whatever's good for keeping heart arteries open and kidney arteries open is also good for keeping brain arteries open.
Exercise.
Yeah, or taking the anti-cholesterol pills that are long established and mostly safe, like pretty safe, So exercise, yeah. But exercise does a couple of them. So you got to keep the plumbing open to irrigate these neurons. Number 2 is you have to eat a certain way. And I know there's a lot of diet stuff out there, and that's a whole theme. But the thing that over decades has been proven to preserve or even increase cognitive health, cognitive function, is the mind diet, and which is the closest thing to it is pescatarian. It's mostly plants, fatty fish. And the reason so I like to take it one step deeper. The reason it's fatty fish and omega-3s is, you mentioned the word myelin before, and so the neurons and the axons, the way they make the electricity communicate faster is that the cable is wrapped with a fatty sheath that's called myelin, and then the electricity actually jumps across the little gaps they have, and it goes faster than if it is not myelin coated. And thought can actually deposit myelin, preferring that thought to happen again. That myelin sheath is made from omega-3s. So there's a specific fat that's needed for myelin, and that's omega-3s in fatty fish. You can get in flaxseed and other things too. So keeping the plumbing open, giving the brain the material it needs. Now we're at this scale level, right? Okay, and then you go in a little deeper. The timing of eating is interesting. I do think there's some pretty strong neuroscience evidence of intermittent fasting. I know there are a lot of diet things out there, but skipping if you have the luxury of skipping breakfast, going 16-hour windows will, if you don't eat, you're not going to just drop dead. And the brain is a hybrid vehicle. The brain can live off of, neurons can thrive and use glucose or ketones. And so after 16 hours, your liver will churn out ketones if you haven't eaten. So that's how you live past the 16-hour window if you don't consume anything. And that switching back and forth in intermittent fasting, the cognitive tests now we're getting from flesh to mind, People seem to have more focus. People seem to have more. It's not about weight loss, but intermittent fasting. It's letting the brain have glucose and ketones a couple of times a week.
That's interesting. So your suggestion here is that all ketones, someone that's doing a full ketosis or carnivore style diet, or somebody that's doing a classic sort of omnivore style diet, which when you're grazing, typically you're not going to drop into ketosis unless you forget to eat carbs for a couple of days or something. You're suggesting that there is a principal brain benefit and neurological benefit to the switching between these two fuel sources.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Weight loss is separate.
Yeah.
And
autophagy and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but also, I mean, there's a lot of ways to lose weight. But this is, we're talking about how to stay sharp. Keeping the flesh healthy, keeping the plumbing open, those arteries, vascular health. Exercise could do that. What we eat, giving your brain the right materials, and the mostly plants will clear out the sludge and the antioxidants. The plants work because they have antioxidants and tannins and these things that clear the sludge that these little molecular machines called neurons make, right? That's why plants are good for your brain. And
are there any that you prioritize?
In plants?
Yes.
I don't think it really matters. It's hard, again, I can't find the experiment where they got 1,000 people eating spinach and they got 1,000. But I can tell you over 30 years, whether it's Blue Zones or the Mediterranean diet, now specifically called the MIND diet, it's Mediterranean diet. And those people, they get a lot less Alzheimer's than people who don't. So I can't distill it down to that. But Michael Pollan, he's great. Mostly plants and some fish. And then the indulgence of the burger or the caviar or the vegan, burger patty. It's all up to you. But the staple is pescatarian. Then we talked about the timing of eating, what to eat, the timing of eating. And then I think the other one that's...
just on the timing of eating thing, outside of the intermittent fasting thing, is there anything else to say on that? It's primarily, at some point, a couple of 16-hour fasts.
Like ketones.
A couple of 16-hour fasts per week is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and relatively easy to do. You can have black coffee in the morning.
I feel great when I fast. I feel really, really great.
Yeah, and that's another theme I'm trying to tie in, like things that have worked for the ancients. Whether it's again back to Aristotle or fasting and different things. Again, for people who have the luxury of this, right? There's a lot of food insecurity. I'm just giving you the conceptual answer. And then the fourth thing is movement. So exercise is movement, but for my patients, what we've seen is that when you're vertical, like people think like it's got to, you got to have the gear. You're out there. You look like you're auditioning for the Equinox commercial or whatever. Like that's great. I'm not knocking that, but for most people, just standing. For my patients, the trajectories of patients who can stand and get up from a toilet and stand and get to the couch is so much better. Being vertical requires postural muscle activity. So what I would say is walking and movement are also cognitive protective. And you mentioned exercise. Now, so exercise and movement does a couple of things. One, it keeps those arteries open that we talked about. As far as the food, number two, what to eat, pescatarian. Third, and MIND diet. People can look all these terms up. Third, when to eat, intermittent fasting for ketones and the cognitive benefits, thinking benefits, not structural. Fourth is exercises that this ecosystem requires nutrients, not neurotransmitters that are being sprayed between neurons, but in the milieu, in the garden, if you will. And there are things like growth factors. Obviously, BDNF is a popular one. I had a grant from the Department of Defense studying it. I'm familiar with it. What I want people to know is when you exercise, it's not like it's released from, like your thigh muscle and swims up to your brain and says, hey, I'm helping you out now. That these chemicals are housed in the brain. And exercise is the cue, is the signal for your brain to release them on themselves. BDNF is released from the brain for the brain when you exercise. And I think that's powerful. Outside of the cardiac and weight loss, I'm just talking about a little bit of movement a couple of times a week. And all of a sudden it starts to feel like, hey, I can do these things.
Yeah. They're pretty low bars to entry.
But high impact and proven.
Yeah.
And then the last one is you got to think, man. You got to challenge yourself. I mean, if if Usain Bolt, you ask him how to run faster, say you train your biceps. I mean, it's a thinking flesh. If you don't push it to the next level of complexity and thought and challenge, not too hard where you quit, just like video games. If it's too hard to get to level up, we tap out. If it's too easy, we're not engaged. So finding whatever you're engaged in, from puzzles to complex conversations, that it needs to be challenged with thought, with ideas, with creativity, with reading those novels you're reading at night.
Mm-hmm.
So the fresh content that's engaging and requires you to think differently, think wildly, think in ways you haven't before. I think that's an essential part of also. That doesn't mean everybody who was a professor lived longer, did better than, people who are just rocking out and not approaching it that way. But creative ideation, I think, is as valuable as just raw processing power. It's not all about doing math and puzzles. I think challenge yourself to be creative is an intelligence in itself.
We'll get back to talking in just a minute, but first, some things are built for summer. Sunburns, hot girl walks, your ex posting their Euro road trip, and now lemonade and salt. Element just dropped their brand new lemonade salt flavor, and it's everything that you want on a hot day. Tart, salty, and stupidly refreshing. It's like a grown-up lemonade stand in a stick, with actual function behind the flavor. Because, let's be real, if you're sweating through workouts, sauna sessions, or just walking to your car in July, then you are losing more than just water. Element replaces the electrolytes that your body actually needs. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium with no sugar, no junk, and no nonsense. I've been drinking it every single day for years, and in the Texas heat, this lemonade flavor in a cold glass of water is unbelievably good. Best of all, they've got a no questions asked refund policy with an unlimited duration, so you can buy it and try it for as long as you want, and if you don't like it for any reason, they'll give you your money back, and you don't even need to return the box. That's how confident they are that you'll love it. Plus, they offer free shipping in the US. Right now, you can get a free sample pack of Element's most popular flavors with your first purchase by going to the link in the description below or heading to drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. That's drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, you will love the full-length episode available right here.